get close enough to the void portals for them to suck off that void corruption. The Stonevault is the level up dungeon in the Ringing Deeps. This is a 4-boss dungeon where you wrap up the storyline behind High Speaker Eirich. You're escorting Dogran into this ancient titan facility to take out the void corruption caused by Eirich here. With these first sets of ads, avoid the brown swirls on the ground and interrupt as many arcing voids as you can. The main priority is dealing with Howling Fear. Making sure to interrupt this cast is priority over everything else. Once you clear out that last pack, the Earthen Defense and Neutralization automation will activate. This fight is E.D.N.A. First, it's going to hit the tank with Seismic Smash. This is a massive 5.3 million physical damage attack, so you're going to want to use a defensive cooldown when it's coming out. This is going to affect you with seismic reverberations, causing you to take damage over time for 30 seconds. If this effect gets dispelled, you would then get protected by the earth, reducing incoming damage by 50% for 6 seconds. You can definitely time and use these dispels to be able to handle the seismic smashes better. Waiting for a seismic smash to begin before doing the dispel and then receiving that 50% damage reduction to make it so that 5 million hit isn't so bad. Volatile Spike will summon brown circles on the floor that'll eventually erupt into a pillar. The pillars do small AoE damage, and if you ever touch them, do a big chunk of damage to you and knock you back. Finally, Refracting Beam is red arrows that are going to pick several targets. These beams will blast out fire damage at that target and everything behind them. And if the beam hits one of these spikes, it'll remove the spike. Players should be constantly pointing the red beams at these spikes to clear them out and give you full control over the room. With E.D.N.A taking down, you have two options. You can go left towards Skarmorak or right towards the Master Machinists. We're going to talk about left first. Down this route, you're dodging purple swirls on the ground, interrupting arcing voids, and interrupting resonation gears. The bigger void-bound despoilers are going to occasionally cast Void Outburst, which causes them to slam the ground and do an AoE pulse around them. The tank should have these guys positioned in the corner, and when we begin casting this, everybody should move away from them. The boss's room has 2 packs to either side, and you're going to want to clear these out before you pull them. The boss's main effect is Fortified Shell. He'll summon defensive energies from the room and gain a big shield. As long as the shield is active, he will pulse out AoE damage to the group, which increases its damage every pulse. Once its shell is broken, you're able to interrupt this channel and end the void discharge. Throughout the fight, he will punch the tank for a decent chunk of damage and summon some crystal shards. If these shards are still alive when he begins the void shell cast, they'll give him 1.4 million extra shield each, which makes that shield phase a lot more difficult to deal with. Whenever these things come out, DPS need to prioritize switching to them and burning them down. He'll also summon a big blue circle around him and then smash the area for big damage. That will then cause a bunch of blue swirls to appear around the room that all players need to dodge. On higher difficulties, you're probably going to want to save Lust for when this guy gets that big shield and be able to burn him out of it quickly. With Skarmorak taken down, you can move over to this little minecart on the edge to return back to the first boss's room. From there, we're heading down the right path towards the Master Machinists. Dodge those brown swirls on the ground and watch out for the big Forge Loader's magma orbs. There's quite a lot of trash down this route, but none of that trash is particularly dangerous. There are 2 different bosses here, and if you ever kill one of them, the other gets a significant power boost. You want to keep them both pretty even so that you can take them down around the same time. Speaker Brock is the small guy on the right. He's going to cause the exhaust vents on the ground to open up and pulse out AoE fire damage. So as long as he's alive, make sure to not be standing on any of the vents on the outside of the room. Molten Metal is an interruptible cast he will do that will spawn a molten area on the ground. These are a priority interrupt and one of the most important things to take out in this fight. Occasionally, Brock is going to jump to one side of the arena and summon a massive metal block. After a delay, the block will rush across the room, dealing big damage and knocking back anybody that it hits. Pay attention to which side that he jumps to and be ready to sidestep out of the way of this metal slab. Speaker Dorlita is in the big mechanized suit. She's going to pick a random target and channel a big lava orb that then fires off in their direction. All players should pay attention to this channel and sidestep out of the way to make sure they don't get hit. After the scrap cube goes across the room, Dorlita will jump to it, grab onto it, and pull it into the center. She'll then channel into it, which will create a 20-yard circle around it, and then make it explode, dealing damage to all players and increase damage to anybody in the 20-yard radius. When this effect begins, everybody needs to clear out of the center and make room out of the circle. You should use a defensive cooldown for the entire group before this goes off. The Master Machine is dead, you can head back into the previous room and find the trolley cart off to the right. We're now making our way up to Void Speaker Eirich. The honor guard here are going to put a purple arrow in front of them and then charge in that direction, knocking back players and dealing decent damage. Pay attention to these arrows and make sure to sidestep them quickly. The Stone Shapers summon earth totems that have low health but do massive damage. Whenever these get spawned, all players need to focus on taking them out quickly. And the Seismic Smashers are going to create large areas of swirling brown. You need to constantly be moving out of these effects and keeping safe spots to be able to go to. Pulling too many of these will definitely result in a wipe because there's just so many mechanics that you're going to have to deal with. Finally, make sure to interrupt the Menders restoring metals or else this fight's going to go on way longer than it should. With all that dealt with, we are now able to pull Void Speaker Eirich, which is very much a room management fight. At the start of the fight, you'll see these two red and blue void zones on either side of him. If you ever touch one of these, you die. You just straight up die. So avoid those at all costs. Void Corruption is a debuff he'll put on random players. This is going to deal some decent shadow damage every 3 seconds, which will increase by 25% every 3 seconds. To get rid of this debuff, you need to move close to one of those void rifts, and it'll suck the Void Corruption out of you and save your life. You gotta make sure not to get too close though so you don't die. Unbridled Void, he'll pick a player and then begin channeling a big AoE cone at them. All players need to sidestep out of the way of this. Finally, Entropic Reckoning is going to put circles on everyone, and after delay, you drop a Void Pool. You're going to want to place these on the outer sides of the room, away from the Void circles. Stacking them up as best you can without overlapping them is ideal. You're going to be slowly running out of room as you're constantly dropping these circles throughout the fight. You're going to need to keep room to be able to dodge the big cones and be able to get close enough to the Void portals for them to suck off that Void Corruption. With him down, you've learned everything you need to know about the Stonevault. Let me know if this guide helped you out in the comments below. I'm Zesty Fresh, this is Ozzy Games, and we'll catch you guys next time.